WWDC 26 came and went, bringing some exciting new features to Apple Home, but there was one thing missing: Apple's future. There was no HomePod with a display, no HomeOS, no new Apple TV. So what happened? In this video we'll look at everything we reliably know so far, why Apple may have stayed quiet at WWDC 26, and finally what I think the future of Apple Home could look like. But before we start, I'd like to ask, if you aren't already, please do subscribe to the channel as it helps out massively. Apple's home lineup hasn't changed for years. Before we look at the future, let's quickly look at where Apple Home is today. The original HomePod launched back in February 2018, introducing Apple's premium smart speaker, focused on audio quality. In November 2020, Apple introduced the HomePod Mini, bringing Siri and Apple Home control at a much lower price point. The current Apple TV 4K, now in its third generation, launched in November 2022 and remains Apple's newest home hub. After discontinuing the original HomePod in 2021, Apple surprised everyone by bringing it back with a second generation HomePod in February 2023. That means Apple's newest dedicated smart home hardware is now approaching 4 years old. If you're looking at the HomePod Mini and nearly 4 years old Apple TV, in the fast moving smart home industry, that's quite a long time. WWDC 26 came and went and Apple stayed silent, but the rumours have been growing. So where is Apple's smart home? For the last couple of years, we've seen consistent reports from reliable Apple journalists, particularly Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, suggesting Apple has been working on something completely new. Not just another speaker, but an entirely new smart home category. So how does our timeline look once we add in the rumours? It all starts with HomeOS, a new operating system dedicated to Apple Home. Reports suggest this will power Apple's rumoured smart home hub with a display. There are also rumours of an updated HomePod Mini, capable of running Apple's next generation Siri, alongside a refreshed Apple TV featuring a redesigned remote. What you will see next are all AI generated images of what the rumours believe will be Apple's latest smart home tech. The smart home hub with display is expected to feature around a 7-inch display with built-in speakers, a camera for FaceTime, widgets, smart home controls, and deep integration with Apple Intelligence. Reports also suggest it could either sit on a dock or be mounted directly to a wall, allowing it to become a permanent smart home dashboard. Think of it as Apple's answer to devices like Amazon's Echo Show or Google's Nest Hub, but built around the Apple ecosystem. Alongside the hardware, another name has continued appearing in reports: HomeOS. While Apple has never officially announced HomeOS, the name has appeared in trademark activity and has repeatedly been reported by reliable sources. If the rumours are accurate, HomeOS is expected to become Apple's dedicated operating system for the home. Rather than building everything from scratch, many believe it will be based heavily on tvOS, which actually makes a lot of sense. Reports also suggest Apple is preparing the first update to the HomePod Mini since it launched in 2020. While the overall design is expected to remain largely unchanged, the biggest improvements are likely to happen inside. The updated HomePod Mini is expected to feature a newer Apple chip, support Apple's next generation Siri, and work seamlessly alongside HomeOS and their new smart home hub. If those reports prove accurate, it could become the ideal smart speaker for extending Apple's smart home experience into every room of the house. Alongside the HomePod Mini, reports also point towards a refreshed Apple TV 4K. The current third generation model launched back in November 2022 and already acts as a home hub, Matter controller and Thread border router. Rather than a complete redesign, expectations are centered around a faster processor, improved smart home performance, and a redesigned Siri remote. With Apple continuing to push The Apple TV as the brains behind Apple Home, a hardware refresh would fit perfectly alongside HomeOS and the new smart home hub. So why wasn't it announced at WWDC 26? This is where we move from confirmed information into educated speculation. Many reports suggest Apple's smart home plans depend heavily on the new generation of Siri, powered by Apple Intelligence. When Apple delayed the rollout of the more advanced Siri experience, several reports suggested Apple's smart home hardware was delayed alongside it. Personally, I think that makes perfect sense. Apple has a history of launching hardware and software together when one depends heavily on the other. If Siri isn't ready to launching a smart home device designed around Siri probably doesn't make much sense either. That may explain why Apple chose not to mention any new home hardware during WWDC 26. Individually, none of these products would completely transform Apple Home, but together, HomeOS, a smart home hub, a refreshed HomePod mini, and a new Apple TV could finally give Apple the complete smart home ecosystem many users have been waiting for. Right now, Apple offers some of the best smart home software available. Apple Home is fast, reliable, secure, and thanks to Matter and Thread, it's becoming more open than ever before. But Apple is missing one thing that many of its competitors already have: a dedicated smart display. Imagine walking into your kitchen and instantly seeing your cameras, your calendar, the weather, your automations, and the status of every room in your home. Imagine controlling your entire smart home from a beautiful wall-mounted display. That's the gap Apple appears to be trying to fill. Everything we've discussed so far has been based on reliable reports, but from this point onwards, these are simply my own predictions. I think Apple will introduce HomeOS alongside the new hardware rather than beforehand. I think widgets will become the center of the experience, much like we've seen across iPhone, iPad, and macOS. I also think Apple Intelligence will make automation significantly easier to create using natural languages, rather than manually building every automation yourself. Finally, I think Apple will put cameras, doorbells, and home security front and center, making them much easier to access throughout the interface. Whether all of this arrives later this year or sometime next year remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: Apple hasn't stopped investing in the smart home. Matter continues to improve, Thread continues to expand. Apple Home received meaningful updates at WWDC 26, and if the reports are accurate, the biggest changes may still be ahead of us. What feature are you hoping Apple announces first? A HomePod mini with a display, HomeOS, or something completely different? Let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video and want to follow the future of Apple Home, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, remember, if it isn't broken, don't fix it.